In this video, what I would like to show you, quick installation replacement of the valve and the faucet for the tub, for the regular tub. Here what we just did, we installed the new tub, steel tub, 5 feet by 30 inches. And of course we will be upgrading the valve also. On my channel you can find some videos about the valves and many different fancy setups. You can see all the soldering, etc., what goes where. In this clip, real quick, would like to point the most important things, factors to consider and remember when installing actually the valve and the faucet for the tub. So let me start. Of course, the first thing that we will do will be to eliminate the old one. Already have this one cut out with the special tools to cut the copper. We can use this type of a tool or this type of a tool to cut the copper. And right now we have everything nicely exposed. Of course, first of all, the water being shut off for the entire house, so there's no water in the system. And the main thing will be to have the new valve centered with the drain and with the overflow. So this is something that we have to remember. Where you see the mark, this is actually where the center of the valve is supposed to be. And of course this is the very important part to remember. I already had those blocks in place. The old valve had no any blocks, it was just flying in the stud. The most recommended way will be to actually have a solid piece of wood and the valve attached to this piece of wood. So keep that in mind. So the one will be for the valve, and the second one, the bottom one, will be for our pipe where the faucet is going to be attached. It's going to be over here, and most of the times the contractors will do, they have just pipe flying loosed, like in this case the whole assembly was just loosed in a wall. What happens, there's always some flexibility on the pipes, so continuously the seal between the metal faucet and the tile gets broken and water gets behind it. If we have the faucet pipe secured and the valve secured, we can nicely tighten our trim pieces and they will stay in place without actually any movement, so water will not have a chance to penetrate. We will be installing Moen valve. This is Moen valve that we will be installing, and as I mentioned on some of my other videos, you can see how I'm doing all the connections, how to clean the fittings, how to solder. I have a video for Moen, I have the video for Delta and some other brands. So you can take a look over there how it's done. But the other ones are mainly for the showers. The only difference that we have between the shower valve installation and the tub valve installation will be faucet. Here for the regular valve, for the walk-in shower, we will cap off the bottom exit. For the faucet will be capped off, and we have only hot, cold water and the main shower head here. For the tub, we will have actually faucet, so the pipe will be run from the bottom exit. And another difference is that actually the valve for the tub goes always lower. It's usually from 12 to 16 inches from the edge of the tub. We can adjust that to our needs. And the faucet is usually about 4 to 6 inches from the bottom of the tub. Of course, keep in mind to keep the distance between the valve and the pipe, so the trims will not be on the way of each other. So please check the sizes of the trim pieces that you have and this is how you can also manage the distance between them. So this is it. So my next step will be to clean the fittings and slowly pre-assemble all the elements in the wall, tie it to the blocks, and do some finer soldering. And I will show you how this is done, how I solder that, and some other small things in just a moment. Okay, so I have the roughened valve. This is Moen, and the first thing I'm gonna do after placing the blocks, I'm gonna temporarily screw this in, attach it exactly where it's supposed to be, because I will measure all the pipes, all the fittings basing on our main location. So the goal for now will be to attach it pretty much where it's gonna be later. I'm gonna screw it a little bit later, but for now it will give me an idea how to measure and figure all the cuts, all the fittings. So I'm placing this nicely accordingly to my mark. Okay, so it appears that the valve is going to be over here. I will have to adjust the pipe for the head as well, but right now I'm going to measure all the cuts, all the connections to the hot water source and the cold water source, which is on the right hand side always, and to the faucet pipe. So let me work on that, and I'll keep you updated. Alright, so I have everything cut to the appropriate size. As you can see, this is our valve. We have all the fittings and connections to our original pipe. I had to run it that way because I have very tough access over there and I don't want to really damage drywall in the other room. Same situation on the other side. They run it in 45 or something angle, so I have to kind of adjust that so I can hook up mine valve and do all this work over here. It's not soldered yet, this is just temporary. This is exit for the faucet. So now it's time to actually put this nicely together, do all the connections. Of course, very important part, always remove the cartridge before any soldering, and because it might get damaged, all the gaskets. So what I'm always doing first, I'm gonna solder those 4 pipes, longer pipes, on the side, and then I will attach the valve, and all the connections, remaining connections, will be done on a wall. I'm always doing this way to avoid any accidental fire burn. So as much as we can connect outside or on the floor in a more open space, it will be recommended, but at this point it's going to be the cross, the arms for the faucet, for the shower head, hot and cold water, pre-assembled, and the rest of the connections will happen over here. So let me show you real quick how that's done. Okay, so I'm about to do some soldering. You can see this in detail in some of my other clips here. Just a quick information. We will need a solder paste for connections. We have to, of course, clean all the fittings. We will need solder. And yes, let me start. This is our rough-in valve, and as I mentioned, I'm gonna start from actually soldering the cross, so the main pipes, trying to avoid soldering this on the wall to not cause too much of the fire. We're applying this flux paste on the inside of the fitting, on both fittings, here and here. Later, during the system wash, when everything is done, I will flush the system from all the debris, of course, because it might leave some. So this is it, and this is our bottom one for the faucet. Okay, make sure that we're doing this correctly. Most of the times our valves will have a mark in which direction it's supposed to be installed. Okay, so I have that, and the next step for me will be to solder it. So let's start playing with this. I have a torch. We always heating up the element where actually the fitting goes into. In this case, male-female element. This is our female, let's say, and this is our male. So we're putting the heat because this way actually solder will travel. So I'm heating up the valve body to the point where actually it's enough hot to melt the solder. Done. Okay, so the main soldering, the first soldering is accomplished. Now I'm gonna let it cool off. Later I'm gonna wipe it with a wet towel to remove any flux residues, and I'm gonna hook this up to the wall. Yes, so once this piece cooled off, I'm gonna wipe it with a wet towel to remove any residues, any flux, to have all nice joints exposed. Also, what I will solder here at the very end, I have this threaded female elbow with two holes to secure, to tie it to the block, to the stud. And this is actually for our faucet. We don't want the faucet pipe to fly, as I mentioned previously. So this actually is going to be here. Then we're going to have a threaded fitting also screwed in. This is our faucet pipe, because some faucets, faucet trims, some of them will go on top of the pipe, and then you're tightening with a hex key or something, or actually some of them required fitting threaded. So having this option, we can, if ever there will be need of such upgrade, we have this chance. If we will do only pipe without threaded over here, this chance is gone. But this is the safest one, gives us more options depending on the type of the faucet itself. But this one will be soldered in a moment here, and this one later screwed in over here. So let me put those two together, and I'm gonna solder it. The goal, of course, is for this element to line nicely with our main valve, because they will be in the same line. So the goal is for them to line, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna actually make sure that they in one line. So I'm kinda adjusting this nicely, almost like shooting a rifle. Okay, so that looks like this is it. And now, I mean, I can also put this for a moment. It will give me nice angle to determine if this is actually it. Okay, looks like this is it. So now I'm very gentle to not cause any movement. This. And I'm gonna solder this in a few seconds. Alright, so this one is in place. I'm gonna let it cool off and then I'm gonna solder this, and I will give you an update once I have this mounted in the wall, how I'm soldering final connections and elbows, etc, etc. So stay tuned, and it's more to come. Alright, so those are elements that I already pre-assembled here on the floor to avoid burning, and I have way more space, but of course visual inspection of the joints is very important. First of all, we will be checking if there's no any gaps to make sure that there will be no leak when later turning on water. Everything looks good. Everything looks good, and the next step will be for me to put it in the wall. Okay, so I have our pieces, so I'm going to place this right now in the wall. Okay, so we have one screw, and we have the second one. I'm checking if it's... The goal is to have this nicely lining. As I mentioned previously, torpedo level might be very handy, because we want to make sure that the faucet will be also in level, so it's not crooked. Okay, and we will need a shim. I need a shim this slightly. Tutaj pokaż mi ten level. Okay, a little bit more. Okay, so we have a faucet right now in level. Now the next step, I'm gonna check if actually our system is in level, because it also has to be in level. Okay, looks good. So now I can secure it on the bottom. Okay. Everything looks good. Also, another thing is to make sure that we have a 90-degree angle between our wall and the faucet. So what I'm always doing, I'm grabbing some straight edge, placing against the studs, and we can place the square over here, but 90 degrees supposed to be in this section. So it looks like I have to actually move it slightly to the right in order to achieve 90 degree, but keep that in mind, that so the pipe is not sticking out in the angle, because later this is how the faucet is gonna look like.